Hello, sports fans. It's me, Sportsman Z, Bob Zolke, and I'm here with another video. And as I promised in previous videos, I am doing a viewer request. And what he requested was that I replay with Strat-O-Matic baseball the 1978 playoffs all the way, I assume, through the World Series. But he said also including the one-game playoff between the Yankees and the Red Sox. And that's what I've got set up here. The Yankees versus the Red Sox. The original game was played on October 2nd, 1978. Both the Yankees and Red Sox had 99 wins at the time. And they had to have a one-game playoff that was played in Boston on October 2nd to determine which one of them would go to the, I think probably the American League Championship Series. So, what I'm doing, and I'm only going to do it for this game. Once we get into the regular playoffs, I'm going to do it the way that I would normally do it. But for this game, I am using the actual lineups from that day, which is very telling because the Yankees lineup did not feature Willie Randolph, nor did Willie Randolph even play in that series, or in that game. And the Red Sox lineup did not feature Dwight Evans as a starting player, although he did pinch hit later in the game. So I don't know what the deal with Randolph was. He won't be in the lineup because he wasn't in their lineup and he didn't play, but I will make him available for the game because I don't know if he was injured or not, and I didn't care to go to that level of detail. So he will be on their bench and he will be available to play for them, as will obviously Dwight Evans, because Dwight Evans did pinch hit. So, and I don't know what the deal with Evans that day was, although the Red Sox still had a very formidable lineup. So anyway, let's start getting into this. Oh, and before we begin, I wanted to mention I now have the fielding charts that include the 5 rated players. I'm not sure if I will need that for this game, but one of the guys from the Strat community, Butch Haber, sent those to me, and thank you, Butch, for sending the charts for me. Helps me out greatly, especially when we do run across a situation where we're going to have somebody who's a 5-rated player, which before I was just using the 4 rating for both 4s and 5s, and now I don't have to do that anymore. So, without further interruption, let's get into this. The lineup for the Yankees was Mickey Rivers in center, Thurman Munson at catcher, Piniella in right, Reggie Jackson at DH, Nettles at third base, Chambliss at first, Roy White in left, Brian Doyle at second, and Dent at shortstop. And the Red Sox lineup was Rick Burleson at short, Jerry Remy at second, Jim Rice in right field, Yaz in left, Fisk at catcher, Lynn in center, Hobson at DH, George Scott at first, and Jack Brohammer at third. And we will be doing this again in the elementary version of the game because that's my thing. I like to play the elementary version, and most of the other guys that I see doing Strat on YouTube use the advanced or super advanced. So this way I got my own niche. I'm going to be doing the elementary version, and like I've said before, I think it all comes out in the wash anyway. Generally, certainly over an entire season, you would still get similar stats using the elementary as you would with the advanced or super advanced, I think. So anyway, the first batter for the Yankees is Mickey Rivers, as we mentioned, and there's his card. He'll be in center field today. and he gets a 4-6 and a 4-6 on Mike Torres, and Mike Torres is the pitcher for the Red Sox, and he was the actual pitcher that day, is a single 1-17. And that'll be a single for Mickey Rivers. And for you people out there that are not up on the history of the game, the Yankees actually won this game 5-4. You'll remember quite a few things from that if you have watched some of these, some of the history videos from ESPN that have revisited the game in the past. One thing was the Bucky Dent home run late in the game that put the Yankees ahead. And also there was a fly ball to right field that that Piniella either lost in the sun legitimately or made the Red Sox think he lost it in the sun. I don't think he caught it. I think it was a bounce, but it like bounced in front of him and he picked it up and threw it in. But I think the Red Sox thought that he had no idea where it was and they kept running and he was able to throw somebody out, I believe. Anyway. So that's a hit allowed by Mike Torres. Mickey Rivers is aboard, and he is an A stealer. And he's going to try to steal on Fisk. That's a 20. He's gone. Nailed. So he was thrown out. And now we have Thurman Munson up. And there's Thurman Munson's card. He was the catcher for the Yankees that day. And that's a 6-12 on Torres, and that's a pop out to first. And then that brings up Lou Piniella, and there's Lou Piniella. He played right field that day for the Yankees, and he is a right field 3. And that's a 6-5, and that's going to be a home run 1-9 on Torres or a double. And that's an inconclusive roll, and that's double. So the Yankees could have missed a golden opportunity right there. And then that brings up Reggie Jackson. And there's Reggie Jackson's card, man on second with 2 down. And he gets a 2-10, which is a triple 1-3 or a single double asterisk. And that's going to be a single double asterisk. So Jackson drives in a run, and that's surely cost the Yankees a run right there. Also, I want to point out that I will be playing to the game situation. I'm not going to actually follow what the actual managers did as far as how long they let the pitchers pitch and when they brought pinch hitters in. I'm not going to be following that. The only thing I was following exactly was the actual starting pitchers and the actual lineups. After that, I just played to the game situation. And that brings up Nettles with a man on first and 2 outs. And there's Greg Nettles' card. He's playing third base today. Very good third baseman defensively. And he gets a 3-2, which is a foul out to the catcher. Foul out to 1. Or to 2. Sorry. So the Yankees get 1 run there. And they take the 1-0 lead. And now we've got Rick Burleson leading off for the Boston Red Sox and playing shortstop today for Boston against Ron Guidry, Louisiana Lightning, and that's a 2-9. That's a strikeout. Oh wait, 2-9. 2-9 is a single. Sorry, Rick. Didn't mean to take that hit away from you, or try to. So Rick Burleson is aboard with a single, and the Red Sox have never really been known for their base stealing, and he's a C anyway, so he'll keep his butt right at first base. And Jerry Remy is up. Jerry Remy is now an announcer for the Red Sox, and he was the second baseman that day. And he gets a 1-5, which is a single, and that puts runners at first and second with no one out. And Guidry is already in trouble of his own with Jim Rice, and here is Jim Rice's card. Jim Rice coming up, played right field that day, and he gets a 3-6, which is a single 1-17. And that is a single. And if you can't tell that I'm rooting for the Red Sox to win this replay game, well, then you're just not paying attention. Guidry gives up a hit because I really, really, really do not like the Yankees at all. And that brings up Carl Yastrzemski. And Carl Yastrzemski that day was the left fielder. He was a Gold Glove quality left fielder at this time. And he gets a 4-8 on Guidry's card, which is a strikeout. And that's the first out of the inning. And that's the first strikeout of the game. Bases are still loaded, though. And that brings up Carlton Fisk, the catcher. And he was also a very good catcher. And he gets a 2-7, which is a fly ball B. The fly ball B will score the man on third, and the Red Sox tie the game up. So that was a sac fly. I'm just going to put sac fly there. And that scores Burleson. And that's an earned run. And now with runners at first and second and 2 down, we have Freddie Lynn, the center fielder, and there's his card. And he gives a 6-12. And that's a ground ball second baseman, and the second baseman for the Yankees is Brian Doyle, who is a 3. And that's a 12-3 on the charts. And that is an out with no runners. So that is the end of the inning. And Fred Lynn went, let's see, 4-3. So the Red Sox tied the score, and it's 1-1 going to the second. And that brings up Chris Chambliss to bat against Torres, and here is Chris Chambliss's card. And he gets a 1-9, which is a strikeout. And Torres with the K, first strikeout for Torres. That brings up Roy White. Roy White, and he is the left fielder today for the Yankees. He gets a 4-8, and that's a single on Torres. So base hit, and that puts the runner at first with Brian Doyle up. Roy White is a B stealer. They will try to send him. He gets a 10. So let's see. What is a B stealing? Is stealing second is a 1-13, and Fisk as a catcher 1 guns him easy because he had like a -6 arm then. So he gets thrown out trying to steal, and that brings it to 2 outs in the inning, and Brian Doyle is up, and there's Brian Doyle's card. So this is twice that the Yankees have tried to steal, and twice they've been gunned out. 4-8 is a single for Brian Doyle, so maybe they should really stay right where they are when they get on. And that brings to the plate Bucky Dent, who famously hit the home run that put the Yankees ahead in real life, and he gets a 4-8, and that's a single. So Torres is in all kinds of trouble. He's just been giving up hits like they're going out of style. He's given up. That's his 6th hit allowed. And that brings up Mickey Rivers with 2 on and 2 out. And he gets a 5-11 on Torres, and that's going to be a ground ball to first, and that's George Scott, who is a 2. And 7-2 at first base is probably an out, and it is. So the Yankees get out. We'll call that 3-1. I mean, I can call it whatever I want, but he was out. And no runs for the Yankees in the second. And that brings up the Red Sox, and this brings up Butch Hobson. And Butch Hobson is the DH today, and was the DH that fateful day in October in 1978. And he gets a ground ball A to the shortstop. So bounces out 6-3. And that brings up George Scott. George Scott, the first baseman, first base 2. And a good hitter. And he gets a fly ball left field, so he is flying out to 7. That's 2 away. And then that brings up Jack Brohammer. and he's the third baseman today, and again was that actual day, and he flies out to right. So he flies out to 9. The Red Sox come up with nothing in the second, and we go to the top of the third, and that brings up Thurman Munson, and we've already shown the cards, so I'm not going to do that now. 1-7, and that's a strikeout right between 2 hits for Munson. And Torres gets a K, 1 away. Lou Piniella is up, and Lou Piniella gets a 1-3, which is a single one or a line out. And that is going to be a line out to third base. Line out to 5. And then that brings up Reggie Jackson. And he gets a 3-9, which is a strikeout. So Torres has a good inning there. So that's got to be encouraging for Red Sox fans who want to see history remade here. This brings up Rick Burleson in the bottom of the third. To lead off the bottom of the third, he gets a 3-10, which is a pop out to shortstop. Pop out to 6. That brings up Jerry Remy. Jerry Remy gets a 6-7, which is a strikeout on Guidry's card. And that is another strikeout for Guidry, who has pitched a lot better than Torres to this point. And then that brings up Jim Rice, and he gets a 2-6, and that is a ground ball shortstop A. So he goes 6-3, and the Red Sox go down very quickly there. And we go to the top of the fourth, and Greg Nettles will come up for the Yankees, and that's a 6-5, and that's a home run 1-9 double. And that is a home run by Greg Nettles. And Torres gives up his 7th hit and his 2nd earned run of the game. And that brings up Chris Chambliss. And Chris Chambliss gets a 3-7, which is a ground ball first base. So that's 1-3, 3-1, whatever. Roy White comes up with 1 out and 4-8 on Torres's card as a single. Roy White gets a hit. That's the 8th hit allowed by Torres. And that brings up Brian Doyle. He gets a 1-6, which is a pop out to second base. Pop out to 4. And that's to Remy. And that's 2 away. And Bucky Dent comes up, and Dent gets a 2-5, which is a fly ball center field B. So he flies out to 8. But the Yankees do strike for another run on a Greg Nettles home run off of Torres, who has been giving up hits left and right, but really is still in this game at 2-1. And Yastrzemski comes up to bat against Guidry, and he gets a 6-6, which is a fly ball center field. So that's a fly out to 8, 1 away. Carlton Fisk comes up. He gets a 3-11, which is a single. So a single for Fisk, and only the 4th hit given up by Guidry. That brings up Freddie Lynn, and he gets a fly ball right between 2 home run possibilities. So fly ball to right field. Flies out to 9 to Lou Piniella. And that brings up Butch Hobson. And Butch Hobson gets a 6-7, which is a strikeout on Guidry's card. So, no runs for the Red Sox, although they could have had if the role had just been a little different for Lynn. But now we're in the top of the 5th, and Mickey Rivers is up, and he gets a 6-4, which is a line out to shortstop. Line out to 6, 1 away. Thurman Munson gets a 2-3, which is a ground ball to the shortstop. So 6-3, and then Piniella comes up with 2 down, and that's a 4-6, and that is a single 1 to 11 off Guidry. Or wait a minute, 4, 6. Single one to 17. So that's a single for Piniella. And Torres' 9th hit allowed. And that brings up Reggie Jackson, and he gets a 110, which is a ground ball shortstop A. So 6-3. And the Red Sox, or the Yankees, do not score any runs there. And the Yankees take the 2-1 lead to the bottom of the 5th inning. And George Scott is up for the Red Sox. He gets 3-4, which is a ground ball pitcher A. So that is 1-3, one away. Brohammer gets a 4-3 off of Guidry, which is a pitcher X, and Guidry is a 2 defensively, and that's a 20. And 20 and 2 is a select another, and that's a 17, and 17 and 2 is an out. So Brohammer is out. And he is also out 1-3. That's 2 away. And that brings up Burleson, and he gets a 6-9, and that is a shortstop X. And the shortstop is Dent, who is a 2, and that's a 13 and 2 at shortstop, which is an out. So he's out 6-3. And no runs for the Red Sox there in the 5th. And we go to the top of the 6th, where the Yankees still lead 2-1. Greg Nettles up, and he gets a 4-3 off of Torres, and that's a ground ball first base C. So he gets a 3-1. Chambliss gets a 6-3, which is a pitcher X, and Torres defensively is a 2 at pitcher, and that's an 18, which is an out. So that's 1-3. And that brings up Roy White. And Roy White gets a 6-10. And that's a fly ball to center field X. And that is, the center fielder is 1. That's Fred Lynn. And that's a 10, which I believe is an out, but we will check it to make sure. And it is an out. So Roy White flies out to Lynn. And the Yankees go down in order there, and they still take the 2-1 lead to the bottom of the 6th. Remy is up, and he gets a 6-8 off of Guidry, which is a fly ball center field. So this is Remy, fly out to 8. Rice gets a 4-7 off of Guidry, which is a walk. So Rice drawing the walk, and that's the first walk by Louisiana Lightning this game. And that brings up Yaz, and Yaz gets a 3-8, which is a single 1-12. And he does get a single. So Yaz with the single, moving Rice to second. Guidry's 5th hit of the game allowed. Yastrzemski's up, and he gets a 3-6, which is a walk, and the bases are loaded here for the Red Sox with only 1 out, and Guidry's on Guidry's 2nd walk allowed of the game. And that brings up Carlton Fisk. And that's a 1-8, and that's a ground ball double play. So Fisk grounds into the 6-4, or Lynn. That was, wait a minute, that was 1-8 on Lynn? No, 1-8 on Lynn. That's a walk, so another run comes in. Sorry, made a mistake there. And yeah, so now the game is tied with still 1 out, and Butch Hobson up. And Butch Hobson gets a 2-7, which is also a walk and forces in a run. And now the Red Sox have a 3-2 lead with 2 outs. With 1 out, the base is loaded. They are going to go to the bullpen. The Yankees have seen enough of Guidry for today, and they will bring in. They're going to bring in. They're going to bring in Sparky Lyle for sure, because this is a 1-game playoff. And there's one out here, so he's gone 5. Guidry went only 5 1/3. With Sparky Lyle on the mound. And George Scott up against him. And we have to mark down the run. Actually, the 2 runs. Rice scored. And Yaz scored. And now George Scott, and he gets a 4-2 on Sparky Lyle, which is a fly ball B, and knocks in another run. And that earned run goes to Guidry. And he gets what is that, 4-2 fly ball to center field. So that's a sac fly. And that brings in another run. And now that brings up Jack Brohammer, and he gets a 5-6, which is a pop out to first base. Pop out to 3. But the Red Sox strike for 3 big runs right there and take a 4-2 lead on the Yankees. And that brings up Brian Doyle to bat in the 7th inning. Yes, in the 7th inning against Torres still, and he gets a 4-3, which is a ground ball first base. So that's a ground out to 3, 1 away. Bucky Dent gets a 1-7, which is a single 1-9, and he does get a single. 10th hit given up by Torres, and Rivers is up, and he gets a 3-3, which is a pop out to second. Pop out to 4. There's 2 down, and that brings up Thurman Munson, and Thurman Munson gets a single on 2-8, on a roll of 2-8, which moves Dent to second and is the 11th hit allowed by Torres. And Pinella's up, and Pinella gets a 5-6 on Torres, which is a fly ball left field B. And that's fly out 7. So the Yankees get no runs in the 7th. And we go to the bottom of the 7th with the Red Sox now holding the 4-2 lead. And Rick Burleson up, and he gets a 1-4, which is a line out to third base. Line out to 5, 1 away. Jerry Remy gets a 2-10, which is a line out to second base. Line out to 4. And that brings up Jimmy Rice, and he gets a 4-7 on Lyle's card, which is a fly ball center field. Fly out to 8. No runs for the Yankees in the 7th. And then or no runs for Boston in the 7th, I'm sorry. And we are going to go to the bullpen for the Red Sox and relieve, we're going to relieve Mr. Mike Torres. He goes 7 complete. And we will bring in Dick Drago for the Red Sox. So Drago coming on to pitch. And that brings up Reggie Jackson in the top of the 8th. And he gets a 2-8, which is a home run. Reggie Jackson going deep. Second home run of the game for the Yankees. And Drago allows it, a hit, an earned run, and now it's 4-3 Red Sox. And that is, okay. Greg Nettles is up, and he gets a 4-10 on Drago's card, which is a fly ball center field C. Fly out to 8, 1 away. Chambliss is up, and he gets a 4-5, and that's a ground ball second base C. So he gets a ground ball to 4, and there's 2 away, and Roy White is up, and he gets a 6-6, and that is a single. So we've got a base hit for Roy White, and another hit allowed by Drago, second hit. And that brings up Brian Doyle, who gets a 4-6, and that's a single 1 to 13. And that is an out. So 4-6 is a line out to third base. Line out to 5. 1 away. Or the Yankees are retired. The Yankees are retired, but they do get 1 run to make the score 4-3 going to the bottom of the 8th. This game is starting to look like the actual game a little bit. Carl Yastrzemski's up, and he gets a 5-8 on Sparky Lyle, which is a line out to third base. Line out to 5. Carlton Fisk is up, and that's a 6-11. 6-11 on Lyle's card is, or on, oh, wait a minute, what was that? I think that last one was an out anyway. Oh, wait, no, yeah, I've got it. All right. 6-11 on Lyle's card is a right field X, and the right fielder for the Yankees is Piniella, and he's a 3. That's a 4. That's going to be something, I think. 4-3 is a safe at second on error, so Piniella makes an error for the first error of the game by either team. And Fisk is on by an E9 with 1 out. And that brings up Fred Lynn. Fred Lynn gets a 6-8 on Lyle, and that's a single 1 to 3. It's in the crack, so we'll just redo it. And that is an out. 2 away. 6-8 was single 1 to 3 line out to shortstop. So Lynn lines out to 6. And with 2 outs and a man at second, we have Butch Hobson up, and he gets a 2-6, which is a strikeout. And Lyle strikes him out. So here it is. This is what it boils down to for the Yankees. They come into the top of the 9th inning, losing 4-3, and they need at least a run to tie and 2 to go ahead. And Bucky Dent's up, and he gets a 2-9, which is a ground ball shortstop. So ground ball to 6 is 1 away. And this will change the entire complexion of the playoffs if the Red Sox make it. But Mickey Rivers is up. They still got 2 outs, the Yankees do. And it's 3-10 to ground ball first base B. Ground ball to 3. And now down to the last out is Thurman Munson. And he gets a 5-6. And that's a single off Drago. So the Yankees are they're still hanging by a string here, with Lou Piniella up at the plate. And he gets a 1-8, which is a single. So Drago gives up 2 consecutive singles after getting the first 2 guys in the 9th out. And the Red Sox are going to look at bringing in another reliever. They're going to bring in, no, not really a true reliever. They're going to bring in Bill Campbell. So, Drago managed to go 1 2/3. No, 1 1/3. No, is it? Is it 2? It is 2 outs, so 1 2/3. He goes 1 2/3, gave up only 1 earned run. And now Lou Piniella is up. No, Reggie Jackson's up. Piniella just got the hit. They put runners at first and second with 2 down. And yeah. And now Reggie Jackson. And he gets a 5-5 off of Bill Campbell, which is a strikeout, and that ends the game. So Bill Campbell comes in and nails it down. Pitches 1/3, gets the save. Torres gets the win. Guidry is saddled with the loss. Lyle went the last 2 2/3. So there you go. The Red Sox win it by the score of 4-3, which is relatively exactly what happened. I mean, in real life, the final score was 5-4. So, well, it was 5-4 the other way. So it was still a one-run margin, but this time it was a one-run margin for the Bobos, who will advance to the playoffs in this fantasy elementary version Strat-O-Matic 1978 playoff. And we will see how they do, and we will see whether the whether we have a I don't know what the real World Series that year was. Maybe the Yankees Dodgers. So we'll see if we end up with a Red Sox Dodgers series. But the Red Sox will have to play whoever the the American League West champion was. I'm going to guess it was the Kansas City Royals, but offhand I don't know for sure. So we'll have to play that entire series, and then we will have to play the entire National League Championship Series as well, between the Dodgers and whoever was the 1978 Eastern Division champion for the National League. But for right now, it's Sportsman Z Bob Zolke signing off from Fenway Park.